right, and now we are recording. Woo!
Woohoo!
Woohoo!
That's how we started, don't we?
Every time. We are hooting and hollering. Welcome, friends, to the Unwritten Earths Symposium podcast. This is a show where I sit down with my good friend, Abadiah Ravishal, to talk about truly true role-playing games.
And it's a show where I sit down with my good friend, Nathan Paoletta, to talk about the questions that are asked of us via the mailroom channel on our Discord.
We're in that stretch of projecting, which, is a verb. Not projecting, yes, but projecting.
Projecting, yes.
Where I think both of us have a lot of things that we are continuously doing, but they're not really turning into anything solid yet. So
yes,
every time we sit down to record or talk about the podcast, we're like, oh, right, we were going, like, we still have homework that we're going to do on our other projects and such things. But neither of us have really been able to put those in the top priority spot because of all these other things that we are trying to accomplish, even though it doesn't feel like we're really accomplishing anything.
When you got a bunch of irons in the fire, right? Like there's that area where you're like, is anything getting done?
Right.
And then not always, but like the plan, hopefully, is that suddenly everything gets done.
Yeah.
And then you're like, what do I do with my life? What is this emptiness? How do I fill it?
That happens with me. A lot of the time it's a week by week thing just because of how I like to block my time. So I'll have a week where I'm like, I've been continuously doing things and yet I have nothing to show for it. And then the next week it'll be like, I finished 12 things.
Yes, exactly.
And I cannot, it is very difficult to, I mean, I think, one could try and organize things such that you're finishing one thing while you're working on other things. But yeah, that's just not how it works for me.
It's a hard problem. It's an unsolved mathematical problem. Time management is just there's entire classes on it. How should I put this? Like, there's classes on topics where the topic is well known and you can learn things and you can go on with your life. And then there's classes that are on topics because you can make money because it'll never be solved and you can just always teach people I'm air quoting solutions here.
Right.
Why am I'm cranky about this for some reason. I just remember taking business courses that were like, this is how you do time management. And like the answer was, we don't know. Nobody knows. Nobody understands.
Right. The answer is it's different.
We're going to name a bunch of techniques.
Yeah. Different things, different industries have different needs, different people have different ways that they work. Yeah. This is a very, for me at least, this is both a kind of springish feeling and also kind of a school-ish feeling where it's like, it's the middle of the semester and nothing is due yet, but like everything is kind of coming up.
Everything is going to be due. Yes,
right.
Yes.
And like you have to keep moving now, even though it's getting really nice outside and like you kind of want to spend some time in the sun or whatever, but you gotta get your work done. Because if you ignore it now, you're going to be it's going to be really hard later.
The universe is screaming at you to write your Robin Hood game. But a bunch of kind people have paid you to finish your sword and sorcery game.
This is a burden that everyone can relate to.
Yes. I hinted that we've got some stuff from our mailroom to talk about, and I'm going to make this what was probably a very smooth segue into the most awkward segue possible.
Yes, please.
We have from Komu, one of our scholars on the Discord. They ask, I'm not quite done with the newest episode, but I would be curious if our hosts or anyone else would have recommendations for finding joy in / learning to hate less necessary parts of game design, making, selling process. Right now I'm editing my big game, and I have repeatedly learned that I do not enjoy editing, something that I've looked at and worked on for so long. Same. It's an absolute necessary part of it, and I don't want to skimp on it by doing it quickly, but it's a lot harder to do well, and do with any kind of speed or urgency when I haven't found any spark in doing so. And man, Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So let's talk about this.
this was a good discussion topic in the mailroom. So, thanks to all the scholars chiming in there. But as we know, not all of our scholars listen to the podcast, and not everyone who listens to the podcast is in the Discord. So we're going to talk about it here as well. And it does flow from our last episode. Komu's referring to our wisdom episode, I think, there. So, we can go ahead and treat this as a continuation of that conversation in some ways.
Wisdom part 2.
Wisdom part
Intelligence.
2. Wisdom part 2, The Revenge of Jaws.
Yes.
So I think this is certainly a thing that is true, right? That you don't like everything about your job the same.
Right.
No matter what that job is, right?
Yeah.
There's always parts that you like. Ignoring the ends of the spectrum where you're stuck in a horrible job because that's your only choice, or like you have like your absolute dream setup and everything is great. Like, yes, those exist, but we're talking about the meaty middle where I think most people are, where there are some things about what you do that are either why you do it or are the thing you like. And then there's parts that are the hard part, or maybe not the hard. That's not the right way to put it. There's parts that are the part that don't have the spark, I think is a great way of putting it. That you grind through in order to do the other things that you do like doing.
I'm going to start by dodging the question for just a moment.
Please.
Just so that this is said and out loud. But role-playing games quite often they're always a collaborative project. Even if you're doing a solo role-playing game, you're collaborating with the game designer. There are a lot of other collaborative, like being in a band is a collaborative object, making a movie, it's okay to pay people to do the parts you don't like to do,
right,
if you can do it. Now, I'm not saying that it's always feasible to do it. And I get it, especially, you got a project where you're like, I don't know if this is going to make any money, or like, I just wanted this out or whatever. I just need to, do this last bit. So I'm not saying you're not professional if you don't pay people to do the parts that you don't want to do. But I do want to say that, like, there are things that other people find they have the spark for and, give them a little money and let them go hog with it. Right. Like that's okay. So I just want to put that out there as a possibility. You don't have to do it all yourself. And I am talking to younger Epi when I'm saying this.
Yeah. And part of that is also, things like skill trading.
Yeah.
If there's a thing you do like to do and your friend has something that they like to do and they need your help and you need their help, there doesn't always have to be money changing hands. Like, it is cromulent to have people help out where they can when that is appropriate to your relationship. But you don't have to do everything yourself. But that also doesn't address, like, that is one dimension, right? Of like, there are all these individual tasks or individual skills that need to be brought to bear. And sometimes, you can, hire an editor or whatever.
Yeah.
But there's also a part of this which is like, there's an intrinsic thing to what you're doing that is still not the good part for you, right?
Yeah.
And
so
exactly. In my case, I don't actually like writing very much. It's a skill I've developed. I enjoy reading. I feel a sense of accomplishment when I have finished writing.
Yes.
But the act of sitting down and putting words on the page in order to take either thoughts in my head or an outline or bullet points or whatever, or my scribbled notes, and put those into a form that I, as a reader, find, passable or better, to whatever my own standards are. That is the part that I wouldn't say that it's not like horrible. It doesn't keep me from doing it, right? But it is the part that I do not particularly look forward to and that I forget immediately as soon as I'm done. I have no memory of writing pretty much anything once it is complete. I'll have memories of doing layout, right? Like, because that has more of a visual component where I it actually sits in my head. And I'll have memories of like, oh, right, that was the time when I had to make sure to get up. This was around when Simone was born. I had to make sure to get up at a certain time so that I would have at least this amount of time in the morning just to sit down and do some writing, at the time on the second edition for World Wide Wrestling. So like, I remember organizing my schedule to write. Don't remember any of the actual putting words on the page part. That's like gone out of my head.
It's funny. I have this memory of, this is doing Worlds Without Master, writing some fiction for it, which I got to say, I really do enjoy writing. not always. Like I gotta, well, okay. So yes, I totally identify with not enjoying the process of writing, but also I do enjoy the process of writing most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
But I have this memory of being on vacation with my family and getting up early, and we're at like a doesn't matter. We're in this like, it's like a cottage. And like it was like a friend of the family had a place in Door County, Wisconsin, if you're familiar with Door County, Wisconsin. It was just lovely. It was just off into the woods. So like I got up and I sat in this like room with the giant glass windows looking out over this lovely spring forest with like all the buds coming out and everything. It's absolutely gorgeous. Sat down with a cup of coffee, opened up my laptop, sat down to write. Like this, I have to tell you, is the like platonic ideal of what writing is. Like this is what people think the writer's life is. And I remember it being one of the most miserable times writing I've ever had. Just trying to get word. I don't even remember the story I was working on. I just remember hating it because I was like, I need to get this done. I'm on vacation. Like I have a deadline. I have to, do stuff with the family and whatnot. And like, I just remember thinking, this is wild. Like this is what everyone who dreams of writing, this is the setting. Right. Like when a movie depicts a writer, that's what they show, right? Like somebody enjoying a nice warm beverage, or somebody with cigarettes and drinking alcohol sitting at a typewriter in a dark room with like a fan running. That maybe I would enjoy more. I don't smoke. But like, yeah. So I don't know. It's just that sense of memory. Yeah. I think part of it is like I don't remember writing. I do remember puzzling over layout, and layout is one of the ones that I don't like. I mean, we get to this every single time we have these kinds of conversations, but there's a reason why Nathan and I, after many years, realized make a team.
Right.
One of the techniques that I have found, and I don't stick to it, like I'm going to present it as if this has made me a better person, and I want to be like, I just want to be very clear that I'm not a better person.
Some of this is aspirational.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But like, if it's a thing and I'm like, if I can break it down to do a little bit per day, when I can do that, it's been very helpful. And sometimes when I could do that and also give myself permission to continue to do it, right? Like, okay, so right now we have, this is another writing thing, but like on my plate, there's the material that's going to go on the back of the Eidolon folio cards, right? We got to write some things for that. And for a while there, I was doing a little bit each day, like getting up and just spending like an hour doing it or whatever. I still need to do that. I need to keep doing that. But like, maybe I block out a half hour or an hour to do it. But I give myself permission that like, if I'm feeling it, I can just keep going. Yeah. Right? Because sometimes if I'm doing something that I normally don't look forward to do or I don't want to do, and I just do it a little bit at a time, sometimes I just kind of like some puzzle in it snags me, right? Yeah. Something, and if I'm like, oh, I have to stop here, having to restart some other time is a bigger challenge. Like if I just let myself get obsessed and spend the rest of the day trying to solve this little problem, I can often like power through a thing that I don't otherwise normally enjoy doing.
Yeah, I would say that's something like this where specifically, editing, for example, is something that I can treat this way as well, where it's like, all right, I need to do my editing pass on this. I'm going to start work on it now. I'm committing myself to doing it for either a time, right, half an hour, or an amount. Like I'm going to read through this section, right, because a lot of my writing is very sectioned. So I'm like, I'm going to do this section, and then sometimes get through it, and you're like, oh, finally done. I can do something else. But sometimes you get through it, and you're like, all right, I'm in it. Yeah. And it's that mental thing of like, all right, I should take advantage of the fact that I am ready to continue to just get some more of this done. And that has been pretty effective for me. Again, because I don't, largely set my own schedule. So I do have that flexibility to just be like, okay, I'm going to spend the rest of my day on this because, that's something I can do if I want. But even just doing that like short chunking thing, I think there's sometimes a resistance to it because it's not necessarily like the quote unquote best way or like optimal way for exactly like you're saying, context switching, right? You lose a lot of the focus when you like are switching between one thing and another thing all the time. But if the choice is take longer than it should to do it and not actually do it, like, all right, it's just going to take longer than it should because it's something I don't like to do. In the discussion on the Discord, I think I said, I think we can give ourselves a lot of grace about this stuff where it's like, it's okay for this not to be my favorite thing. It's okay for me not to be particularly good at it, right? Like, again, there's a spectrum of like, I hate it, but I'm great at it to, I love it and I'm bad at it, right? Like those are not, those lines cross at certain points. But it's like, if it's something that you're doing for whatever reason, because you are pretty good at it, even though you don't like it, or you're the only option or whatever.
Right.
And just being like, and I'm going to do the best I can, and I'm going to suck it up to get through the part I don't like, and it might not be the best job in the world. And that's okay, because at the end of the day, we're talking about role-playing games. It'll be fine.
Oh, and we're talking about role-playing games is another thing that I have found very helpful for me. And I don't know if this is advice that works for everyone, but like, you can build a system for this. Like sometimes the task itself is not a thing you relish doing. But if you think about the task in the larger context and you're like, what am I doing here? How do I create a system for this? Like my brain starts going, oh, okay. like all the accounting that we've done,
that you've done.
I'm sorry, that I've done. But like, I look at it and I'm like, okay. I admit it's boring, but then I'm like, what if I build a system for this? Like what's the, that's why I got into ended up getting a degree in accounting because I was just like, I want to know more. I want to what's the system? How does the best practice? How do we make this work? And
sometimes that hooks into stuff like you hear this. If you have not heard this before, here's a thing that maybe will help. Taking your thing that you've only ever looked at on a screen and print it out. Right.
Yes.
That changes your relationship to it a little bit, in addition to just giving you a different way of looking at it. That can be a system, right? Like, all right, I finished writing this part and now I'm going to print out this chapter and now I'm going to edit it, in a different chair. I'm going to sit here with a clipboard and edit it over here. And I'm going to see if I can get through 4 physical pages in the next 20 minutes or whatever. Like you could you can start making that into some kind of like systematic approach. Reading things backwards, right? Like
I was gonna
say, page, read it top to bottom, and then go to the page before it and read it top to bottom. So that stuff is hitting your brain in a different order. These are all like self-editing tips that are out there, but are surprising. You're like, yeah, I'm sure. And then you do it and you're like, oh, yeah, I did misspell the name of this character, 4 different times in 4 different ways on 2 different pages. And I've read through it linearly 12 times and never caught that. Like those kinds of things pop out when you do that kind of stuff.
I do the edit backwards. I'll do it sentence by sentence backwards. So, like, I'm not reading a sentence backwards. I'm reading a full sentence. The last sentence in the text.
And then go to the next one up. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I'll do that and then go back and read the paragraph forward and then move to the next one. And at first I was like, oh, this is cheating. I should just be doing but then I realized what I'm doing is like, okay, I've looked at each word. Now I've looked at each sentence and now I'm looking at each it was just a way of like tricking myself to like go over it more and more times, right?
Think about it and have it actually be analyzed by your brain. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Reading out loud does that too.
Shell pointed out at one point, just flipping an image.
Yeah. Flipping images when you're working on it to see how it
just changes. Like you're like, oh,
yeah. Like, oh, that proportion is weird.
Yeah.
But I hadn't noticed because I've been looking at it this way. Yeah. Especially for like figure drawing. I think that's really helpful. So yeah. So those are like little games you can play, right? To do specifically writing and editing stuff. Another thing, I guess 2 more things. One is you can also just get it as good as you're going to get it for now and be like, I'll come back to it with the benefit of not being burned out on it, not being immersed in it, some feedback from someone else. Like if, you're like, all right, this is as good as it's going to be for now. I'm putting it out there. And then someone comes back and is like, this is really great, but like, I'm confused about what this section means. And then you're like, oh, okay. So now you can look at that with those fresh eyes of like, someone out there in the world was actually confused. So I should focus on this to like do, whatever time you're going to spend on it. Because none of this stuff we've talked about this before. None of this stuff is set in stone. You can always revisit it, but there's also value in being like, I'm done with this and moving on with your life.
Yeah.
You can kind of play with that and be like, I'm done with it for now. I'll decide that I'm done with it forever later. And that's something I do where I'm like, if I can make it better, I will. And if I get to a point where I don't want to look at it again, then I guess this is it. And that's fine.
Yeah, there's a thing. I remember, I didn't say this to their face. I just remember like a review of something that I had done in the past. I don't even remember what they were criticizing. I know it was a podcast review. I was listening to the podcast, and I remember saying out loud, my headphones on, no one else in the room, like, I'm not an expert in all things. Like I'm not going to get everything right.
Yeah.
And I think that's a thing that we should allow people, that I guess it's a broader topic, is just like, hey, we as role players, people who consume role playing games, consume's the worst word for that. There's got to be a better word. But anyways, people who enjoy role playing games, of all the people in the world,
both read and play them.
Of all the people in the world, we should be really used to and skilled at dealing with an imperfect product. If you enjoy movies, there's probably perfect movies out there. There's probably a movie that you're like, this is the best movie of all time. There is no perfect role-playing game. There's nothing that even approaches any of that. That's why we're all doing it. Like, I mean, like, I love role-playing games. We've been podcasting about this. We've talked about the hidden gems and everything like that. But I really need people to understand that there's, like, I'm trying to think of, like, the problem is like anything I think of in any other field is also... Like, I'm like, there's no Citizen Kane of role-playing games, but Citizen Kane's an okay movie. Like, it's, I know people think it's the hot take.
Citizen Kane catching strays today.
Yeah.
Didn't expect that.
I mean, like, there's no Mona Lisa of role-playing games, but also the Mona Lisa's just an okay painting. That's another hot take. You can get it from me. Like, that's not even Da Vinci's best work. It's just okay. It's an overhyped painting. That's fine.
So there's definitely a Mona Lisa of role-playing games.
There's definitely a Mona Lisa. That may be true of all things, and I'm just focusing on this particular art.
There's two vectors, right? One, or I mean, at least two. Well, one is everyone is going to have a different definition or decision about what the best thing is that they like, for them, right?
Yeah.
And if you are immersed in a certain art form, you're probably able to articulate what you like and what you think is superior in more technical terms or with more authority because it's something that you know more about, and you're able to pick apart like what I like versus what is good, right? Like those that
right,
are all like critical discussions. And like so that's just as true for our truly true games as anything else. But also because they are fundamentally incomplete until they are played, and thus hot take, and thus any actual instance of playing a game is a unique flower that can only be experienced by the people doing it. You can share those experiences, of course, and like better games tend to match up your expectations with the experience that you get, right? That's what the design part does. Yeah, but like the idea of like I need my thing to be as good as possible is really a internal metric for how you feel about it, I think, and less a standard that is going to be that anyone out in the world is going to be like, oh, this has to hit this arbitrary bar, because that bar is arbitrary no matter how much work you've put into it, I guess is where I'm trying to go. There's people who are like, oh, there's a typo in the first paragraph. I'm not going to read the rest of this book. And like,
Right. Yeah.
okay, like, sure. Well, you know, what are you supposed to do with that? Or people who will take a text that is like, let me tell you in plain text, this game is not done. This and this are not complete. You will need to figure it out. And then they'll play it and be like, it was amazing. I wish it was a complete game. And you're like, well, you figured it out, so that's good.
Yeah.
You know, so I did my best to make sure you knew that going in, and yet there is still more for me to do.
Mm-hmm. This discussion, I think this is a good discussion. We've gone maybe a little far afield to the question of like,
that's fine.
How do you learn to hate less the necessary parts? But and we're like, the world at large needs to realize some fundamental things about truly true role-playing games. But to just bring it back to how to learn to hate it less, you don't.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
no.
you just accept the hate within you. Yeah, that was the other thing. I think earlier I said there are at least two things. The other thing was that at a certain point, you just develop the skill of doing things you don't like. And again, everyone has to do this in their life, right? Unfortunately, even if you are doing this as a fun hobby that you don't care about the money, or you're doing it as a creative expression and you're trying to get it as, you know, to encapsulate the thing that you have in your head and make it as good as possible. You still just need to, it's like any muscle, you just have to work it out. You know, you just have to use some of these techniques maybe to try and get you over that hump of like, yep, I just have to do this. But accepting, at least for me, accepting like, yeah, there's parts of the work that are work, and I just have to be ready to do them. And sometimes I have to silo out my day so that I am like, all right, just doing that part. Today's going to be a grindy day. Like, that's just how it goes.
A couple things, like, number one, if it's like for editing, I highly recommend, I think Great Courses has a course on grammar. I highly recommend checking it out because it's great. It's super interesting, and it's infuriating when you find out how much of grammar is bullshit. Just like just one dude in the late 1800s decided this because he was angry at some other, like, they're like internet flame wars. But before the internet, and that's why we have grammar of any kind. Anyways, you know, that's fun to like look at, and you know, when people are like, you should do that, like it's fewer, not less, or something like that. It's like, no, that's one dude decided that. The historical context didn't say that. We didn't, as a society, decide that. One person was just angry about something, and he published a book, and that was it. Okay, so that's one thing. It's sometimes it's fun to just take that anger and research in rage. Another thing, and this is like, I'm gonna had this moment with CSS, right? So CSS, we're gonna get a little slightly technical here. I'm gonna try and keep it on the up and up here. This is a programming language or that styles your web pages, right? It's younger than role-playing games. I think it might be younger than Dread. Hold on. No, maybe not. If I look at like 96, 29 years ago. Okay, not younger since Dread was published. It is just 2 years older than the first game of Dread. I'm just saying. And it's like how all web pages are styled. I for the past 6 years absolutely loathed it. I can go on so many tirades about it. I just really, really, really dislike it. I don't like that it's like the corner that everyone's backed into. If you're going to do it, you got to use CSS. It has to be backwards compatible. So like there's just like a lot of bad things in it. And there's like all of every time I like go online to find best practices, they're all like, there's just stuff people are making up. Like, it's not really. Anyways, whatever. I'm just saying this is a thing that I loathed, but I had to do because I wanted to make web pages. Like, I wanted to have things out there. And then there's this thing that happened. There was this library that uses CSS. It's called Tailwind. And trying to decide how much detail. It just made it slightly easier for me to use. So I was like, oh, I'll use Tailwind. This is great. Tailwind's good. I'm not the only one who did it. It was pretty popular. It's not like I found like a particularly secret thing or whatever. AI, the code generators that AI have, tend to like Tailwind. I think it's because there's just a lot of examples of Tailwind out there. So they just, when you vibe code something, they just put Tailwind in. This causes a whole lot of problems, which is beyond the scope of this podcast. But what it did in me is it lit a fire inside where I was like, oh, this is what AI loves. Then I hate it and I love CSS. Like I found a thing that like well, a bigger rage. I was like, the enemy of my enemy is my ally.
The true hater has emerged.
Yes. And I have to tell you, I like CSS now. Like it took like a month, and that was it. Like a month of that, of just being like, no, AI doesn't like CSS. You gotta, and I'm like, I prefer CSS to this stuff. And I like, who knows? That might have been like a normal learning journey. Like I was getting stepping stones, and now I understand CSS better than I did before, or whatever. But I mean, that trick of learning to hate something more.
We live in a good time for being a hater. So, you know, I think it's leading to some really positive things out there in the world. So if you can harness that for your own work, I say go for it. I should learn to hate more. That's really what I'm taking away from this.
I mean, it's a matter of just learning where the what's the word I'm looking for? The fruitful ways to direct your hate, right? Like there's so many ways in, like the example in the question, right? Where it's, if you don't like doing a thing, it's going to bog you down. You're going to feel bad. You're going to put it aside. Like I've got answering emails, just emails I don't like. They're so easy. They're so small. And because I don't like them, I rarely look. Like I have to force myself to look at my inbox once a day. And
I know.
Like everyone who's ever tried to communicate with me knows. And that's not helpful. And it's such a simple thing, and I can't find joy in it.
You can't find a way to hate something else so much that you have to do email.
We're getting there. Like social media is pushing me towards email.
I guess, that's the thing. So in the question, it includes the phrase "learning to hate less," but I think maybe part of it is you need to learn to hate certain things more that then drive you to tackling the thing that has been holding you up. Yeah. Something that also came up in the chat, that is something that definitely is a thing I do, is using a deadline, right? Being committed to like doing a thing at a time, and then just being like, all right, I just gotta gut out whatever needs to be done for that deadline. The last couple weeks have been that, where I gave myself a arbitrary deadline. So for my game Mortal Skein, the Dark Fates epic fantasy game that I've talked about on the show before, it has this it takes place in the shifting lands, and so part of play, and those are attached to your characters. So when you make your characters, you choose where you come from, and that creates your initial map of play. And so there's 6 characters, and they each have a number of choices, and they're designed to put certain characters in proximity potentially, right? So there's less than whatever that is. There's I actually just counted them. There's 15 locations. Roughly half of them are the land, like the realm, and then half are like a place that can be in any land. And when I've been running the game, I've just been coming up with stuff on the fly, but like I've realized through playtesting that this needs to have a setting, and these need to be an established thing. So now I'm making a game with a setting. So the podcast has worked is what I'm saying.
We did it.
We did it. But yeah, so I'm like, okay, for this to be something I can hand off and be like, someone else can play this, I need to write up these locations. And when I'm done writing up the locations, I can have a playtest, document that is ready to go. And I can put that out, and I can be done with this for now, so that I can make sure that I am on top of sword stuff, freelance work, like all these other things that like have actual deadlines. So it's like, all right, either I do this now, or it's going to stay in this state, this unfinished amorphous state for another probably 4 or 5 months if I don't do it like now. And for me, now was the beginning of April. And so for about 2 weeks, I've been like, all right, I just need to put in a couple hours and then it's going to be done. And I've been doing that for, I think at last count, 12 days. Whereas like today's the day, because doing those write-ups, I don't particularly like. So it was hard to just like sit down and just like, all right, let's do it. 2, as I was writing them, I was discovering kind of the tone, like I was actually doing like
you
writing
go
stuff.
Back and change things.
Yeah, so I have to go back to earlier ones and kind of change them to match the stuff I established with later ones, things of that nature. And then putting it all into just like a basic layout so that it like is approachable and works is like PDF ready and all that stuff, which is honestly was the least time intensive part, but was like the last thing to do. So giving myself that like delivery goal of like, as soon as I'm done with this, I can wrap this all up and hand it off, and then I'm done with it for now. It still took me a lot longer than I wanted it to, but it was totally the thing where I'm like, all right, I'm gonna write 1 description today, and then maybe I would write 2, like it would get into it or whatever, or I'd sit down and be like, all right, I need to reread the earlier entries. I'm gonna reread them until dinner time, and just doing all those little chunking it up things. And yeah, it took a while, but I got through it, and and I am happy with it. I think this stuff is interesting. I think some of them are better than others, and I think they will get resolved over time to kind of all be good. And right now, like some are good and some are okay. But that's the nature of the stage of the game's development right now. So like, so that's just a personal journey of exactly this thing. But if I hadn't said, all right, I need to either be done now or I need to put it away and come back to it at a different time. Making that decision is what made it possible for me to be like, all right, I got to sit down and get through this. And if I decided I'm just going to do it a different time, then that's fine. It would still be in drafts, and I'd be thinking about it maybe for the end of the summer. That's kind of the window for when I think I would be able to pick it back up.
I have on my phone, I mean, like, we have like a timer app on your phone, and I have one of the timers set for 35 minutes. I did that a couple years ago, I think. I set a timer to, I don't even remember why. But now, like, whenever I have to do something, I will set that. I'll be like, okay, I got 35 minutes to get this done. Obviously, there's things that I have to do that I can't accomplish in that amount of time. But like, it's like a smaller version of that deadline thing where I'm like, this is what I have. Let me do it. And for some reason, having it being this, artifact of a timer that I had made for some other reason, rather than like me thinking, how much time will this take? I'm like, nope, I have 35 minutes.
Yeah. Well, that's the, you backed yourself into the Pomodoro thing.
Yeah. I've heard that that's what I'm doing to myself. I refuse to look it up.
No, which is good. That's fine. It's just a different number. It's just a different number. But like, it's just a thing where you're like, I'm giving myself this much time, and that's disassociated from the task. You're just like, all right. I'm going to be locked in for this amount of time, and when the timer goes off, often you either are like, oh, I'm in it, so you just keep working, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Or that's like your signal to like get up and walk around and take a little break or something like that. It kind of depends on your approach.
Play the recorder.
Play the recorder.
That's my other tip. Play the recorder in between.
I hadn't looked it up. I'll look it up, and if I can find this from this half of a memory that I have, I will put it in the show notes. But somewhere on my Skyline, I saw going by discussion about a timer app that like puts like a little like a plant on your screen, and it grows until the timer goes off. But if you turn it off before, then it dies. So so that's very it can be very motivational, because you're like, oh, my tree's not quite it's not quite grown yet. If I stop, it's gonna die. That could be a way to keep you on task.
I was just thinking that, like, for me, because I've been trying to track my time lately, and I would like a timer that goes off, and then I can, like, just hit a button to say, yeah, I heard you. Like, I heard you. But then it just keeps running. So I know, like, later when I look at it, like, how much time I actually... Because with the time tracking thing, what ends up happening is it goes off, I turn it off, and then I'm like, okay, let me just finish this thing. And then an hour later, I'm like, oh, I don't remember when I started that time. I don't know how much time I've spent on this, you know?
Yeah.
But whatever. Time tracking is for nerds, and I don't recommend it. I don't like doing it.
Here's a game design challenge for you with that's spinner related.
Now you got my attention.
It's a timer, like, Pomodoro or whatever, a work timer that is a spinner that the segments are different amounts of time. So you're like, I'm going to work for, spin, and they're like, 5, 10, 20, 35 or whatever, right?
Yeah.
But you wait the timer, so it almost always hits the long time. So
right.
So that your visual is like, oh, I'm spinning the timer, I'll see what I get. But functionally,
right.
You're going to get those longer chunks that are probably better, that are more likely to lead you into that focus
state. Yeah.
Yeah, your flow state.
It would be kind of fun because, like, we got a circle, we got a spinner, cut it into 4 quadrants. The first one is like minutes. Maybe like 5, 10, 15 minutes. That's it. Those are the first, just like a normal clock. And then the next one is 15-minute chunks. So you have like 15, 30, 45, and then the next quadrant is like hour chunks. Oh my God, that gets big. No, half hour. I should go up to half hour. Half hour. So half hour, 1 hour, hour and a half, and then the last one should be hour. So it's like hour, 2 hour, 3 hour. You don't even have to wait it. Like, on average, you're going to end up where? I'm going to do the math in my head. I don't want to do that. You're going to end up in the half hour to an hour range, I'm guessing. So you spin it and it stops. And then where it is, it does the ticking down.
Oh, yeah. That's cool. Yeah. That's fun.
Oh, now I'm going to have to make this. I think the time thing doesn't quite work.
Yeah, you probably max it out at like an hour, and then you work backwards to figure out. But the staggered thing where it's like there's more, where it converges on that like 35-minute kind of number. Yeah. And then, but you spin it, and then wherever it lands, and then it ticks back up to 0 in real time. It ticks from there. And yeah. Maybe it changes. Fun. I mean, it's digital, right? So maybe then either the numbers change to just be the minutes, so that it's right, 1 to 1, or the numbers vanish and it just has like a time ticker, or something.
That's fun. It'd also be fun if you had like a the opposite of a snooze. It works just like a snooze. You're just like, oh, give me a little more time.
Yeah, add 5
give
minutes.
Me a little more time. Add 5 minutes. But that's also like a weighted random thing.
So sure. Yeah. So it's going to add like 3, 5, or 7 minutes or something.
Yeah. Or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's actually what I want. I'm going to like, we're way off course right now. We're into like plus expenses territory at this point, but that's what I want for my morning snooze. I want a random amount. I don't want, because now I'm like, my brain's like, the alarm goes off and I'm like, okay, I got 2 snoozes before I have to get up. I'm like, that's not helpful.
Man, I don't remember the last time I snoozed.
Oh yeah, well, I got my
different lifestyle,
first world problems. Yeah.
Let the hate flow through you, I think, is what we've learned today.
Yep. Yeah, I think so.
In semi-related news, in terms of things that we are accomplishing, maybe talk about how cool it is that we are getting some of these Eidolon pieces in.
Yeah. So, Swords Without Master. One of the big things for the new edition are these Eidolon folios. These are, if you're just joining us, these are tarot-size cards with sword and sorcery illustrations on them that are for you to... When you make a character in Swords, you need what's called an Eidolon, which is something of our world that reminds you of your character. And the easiest ask for that is just like a nice, juicy sword and sorcery illustration. It doesn't have to be of your character. It could be some part of the world that your character's familiar with, or where they came from, or just something that they're aspiring to. It doesn't matter. Eidolons could be anything.
It matters, but it does not have to be a specific thing.
Yes. Yeah. So the thing we wanted to do with this new Swords is to bring bring back, and specifically bring back illustrated cards. I was going to say trading cards. They're not really for trading. There's not a randomized set.
Yeah, like
you
art
get
cards.
the whole thing. Art cards, yeah. I was actually talking to friend of the show, Nat Barmore, co-creator of Dread, about this, and we were just reminiscing about, like, these used to be more of a thing. Like Magic the Gathering and stuff, that still exists and is going gangbusters as far as I understand. But you know, I remember, like, these art cards just being a thing you would spend your money on, right? Like, this is a thing you'd want.
Like the art of Michael Moorcock, or Michael Whalen, that's who I'm thinking of.
Michael Whalen, who's done many Elric covers.
Right. Yeah. And just be like a pack of cool cards. Yeah.
I wanted that. Nostalgic is a nostalgic trip for me, but it's also just like, when I first was running the game, would spread these art cards out in front of people at the table, and it was great. And one of the things that I enjoyed doing about that is I had, like, this giant mess of cards, not all of which were sword and sorcery, but some were adjacent enough that I could easily sneak them in. And you could sort of temper the world you wanted to play in. Like, for instance, a portion of these cards that I used to have, I still have, they're around here somewhere, just illustrations of dinosaurs. Throwing those in, first of all, guarantees you're going to have dinosaurs in your game. But it's great. It's a great way to signal, I want dinosaurs in my game.
Yeah.
So what we're doing is we're dealing with, I don't know the exact count, over a dozen, maybe 18 artists, I think, or something like that. Do you know offhand at all?
Not off the top of my head. Many.
But we're going to end up with, like, somewhere around 56 cards.
Yeah.
So hefty. Tarot size, so they're nice. They're bigger than the trading cards of my youth. And we have them divvied up into specific folios, which are just thematically similar. Sometimes the folio is all one artist. We have several artists that Shell Khan is doing a folio. We've named all the folios too, but I don't know them off the top of my head. Jabari Weathers is doing a folio. Goran is also doing a folio. Simon Roy, we just got some art from him, which is amazing. But all of the art is amazing. Part of why I have trouble talking about this is that, like, I feel like I'm going to leave, like, everyone,
like, leave someone out.
Yeah, leave someone out, because every one of these artists is, like, stepped up to the plate and knocked it out of the park every single time. And I'm just like, that's an amazing record, and I don't want to, like, gloss over any particular one of them. Specifically,
kind of where we're at right now is we're in this nice moment for the overall, like, deadlines and everything, where we have some of them are done, right? So we have, like, we have Goran's, the Age Before Time.
Yeah.
So that's, like, incredible kind of, like, Bronze Age, you know, weird monsters and hooded figures and strange landscapes and stuff like that. Those are done. They're great. We just got the last of our maps in. So that's a multi-artist folio where we have 4 artists who've each done 2 maps. And the direction that we developed with Shell for that was, like, each of the 2 maps is they're pairs. So, like, Ripley's maps are a before and after of this, like, location, where the before is kind of in the ancient days of sorcery, and the after is kind of like after the alien apocalypse or something like that. Like, you know, has a different visual style to indicate that it's a different time, but it is clearly the same place that's been changed by events.
Yeah.
The ones from Arlen Ortiz is, like, the inside and outside of this, like, large galactic monster.
Which
is
really like
cool.
A giant floating through space. It is,
but also
wonderful,
contained within the Earth.
Yes,
great. We were able to work with Kyle Latino for some of his maps, and we were able to select some previous work that we licensed, and then Shell did the coloring on. And that's kind of a 2-piece, like, left and right. Like, it's a big scene that's divided across 2 cards, which is pretty cool. And then the ones we just got from Fernando Salvatierra are more like traditional, like, isometric kind of adventure maps, because, like, that's what he's really good at. But it's the above and below of one location.
Yeah.
And they have very distinct things going on. So they're like two different worlds, but when you look at them, you see that they're clearly the surface and then like down in like a canyon, and like, yeah,
it's great.
It's cool.
Good stuff. Yeah.
So putting that set all together and looking at them all together was really great, because like we had our first one artist folio all done with Goran, and now this is our first multi-artist folio that's like completely done, and they just look really good. They're going to be really cool. And then
they are.
The idea of either being like mixing the maps in with some other ones, right? So you have those as part of a thing, or selecting one of them and being like, all right, here's where we're playing. Like both of those are kind of fun directions to go. Yeah. So this is just a bit of a, I don't know. It's exciting to see these all come together, and we hope that everyone else will enjoy these as much as we are seeing them come through.
Yeah, I'm so pleased with each individual piece, but also as a whole, the decks that we were able to amass.
The swords one, the Glorious Dreams of Cursed Swords, right?
Oh God, so good! It's so good.
That set is really, really strong. It's almost done. We've seen many of them, and there's a couple that are getting finished. And like that's a multi-artist set. It's really strong. The Menagerie set is also pretty close, and is more maximalist. Like it's more of a like, here's all these different ways you could think about your game.
Right. Yeah. One of the goals here, when we were doing the Kickstarter, we were like, we're going to pick these artists to start with because these artists hit the right baseline for our sword and sorcery, right? Like, you know, I had different reasons for each one, but like I very much was like, this will say this is what the game is.
We're telling you it's a sword and sorcery game. Here is stuff that is sword and sorcery that we think we think is that promise, right?
Yeah. There's like a call to adventure in all of them. There's a sense of wonder in all of them, and it feels familiar and alien at the same time, right? Like it's good. It's good stuff. And then we were like, okay, now for the other ones, we don't want to go. Basically, we want to say, but we can stretch this. We can expand it. Like sword and sorcery is an expansive, elastic genre that allows a lot into it. So let's do Simon Roy stuff is very sword and planet. Like there's the idea there is that there's like these different inhabited moons that can interact with each other. There's different art styles that show up in like the Menagerie and in the sword. I'm trying to think of how best to like. I am not art speaker. I'm not good at speaking art, but like we have this sort of classic illustrative style to sword and sorcery that you kind of expect. Like you expect it when you think of like Frazetta.
What was it, like the fantastic realism or whatever? Like
imaginary realism.
Yes, like the imaginary realism kind of genre or visual style.
And so with some of these later sets, we get to do some other styles of art that I'm absolutely loving. And yeah, it's just been it's just a joy to see that art. And now we're getting interior art for the book too, and like that's also been chef kiss. Like trying my darndest not to have that sinking feeling of like, oh no, the art is better than the game. They're not in competition, right? They work together.
Yeah, and I think also there is the thing where it's like we're very excited about all the cards, and like that's been a big part of the crowdfunding, and we're we think getting them into the world is going to be great. But at the end of the day, you don't need these cards in particular to play. The book is the book, so I guess the hard part right now is to focus a little bit of like, okay, all this stuff is happening and it's great, but we do need to like get the words and put them together and
get this book get this fixed up. Yeah.
And like it's all in these disparate parts, which like is kind of the atypical way that this one's coming together, where it's not like, all right, gotta edit the text. I mean, it does need some editing, but it's more like, all right, gotta collate everything, gotta find where the holes are, gotta add the stuff that you're that you want to add, right?
Yes.
And then also some of the stuff that we're going to add from the backers.
For instance,
and pulling that all together.
Each one of these sets has an evocative title. They're going to have material on the back of the card that you can use to like create your characters or the world that you're in. Just ask questions of you that you might need to answer or want to answer. I have to just vocalize out loud that a lot of this is just takes inspiration from the Everway game from the 90s, which did the same thing. They had art cards, they had questions on the back and all that. But they also, like I said, each folio has its title, and I'm gonna, I put together things that are like a tiny section of like rules and setting stuff.
Yeah.
If you want to just say, hey, an age before time, I want to play in an age before time. Here you go. Here's what you need to just go as if that were a full fleshed out setting. Because one of the powers of swords that like you don't want a full fleshed out. You want what you're getting here. You want like all these hints at what the setting's about, and then you as the players flesh it out as you go along. This reminds me, I don't know if this is podcast material or not, but I realized recently that like instead of the advanced game, we should just call it the extended game. And that'll encompass everything after the basic game. I think that's a better term for it. I think it's just saying so like, all right. Yeah. Okay.
Brief creative meeting in the middle there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You got to get them in when you can.
Yep. So I think I just kind of wanted to bring it up just because it's part of that spring feeling. It's like, ooh,
yeah,
stuff is happening.
Yeah. Organize your life so you get good art in the spring.
Yeah. I think that's some good advice. All right. Well, now that we've finally given some good advice on this show.
Yes.
Time to go ahead and wrap it up. Thanks again to our scholars for their interesting, helpful, and thought-provoking questions. Those are coming in over at the mailroom in the Discord, which you can get to by going to unwrittenearths.com and clicking on the link to the Discord. You can also find links on that very website to the Patreon that supports this show and also will be the passive way of getting Swords Without Master. Once it comes out, it will be going to our patrons, independent of whether you've backed the Kickstarter or whatever, as a thank you for your continued support. You can also get to our email if you want to email us anything. Find us on Blue Sky, etc. Oh, we should just do a quick shout out to Playtest Tuesday. I feel like we've been having some solid Playtest Tuesdays recently. So if you are interested in dropping into the Discord on a Tuesday, every other Tuesday, you can see which ones we have the event up in the Discord, so you can see those dates. We take 2 to 3 hours, kick around ideas, playtest specific mechanics that people are working on or small games that people are working on, and also tend to dive into a topic and kind of talk about the games that do that topic. That's been something that's been happening recently as well. It's been a good time. I recommend it.
Agreed. I do too. I really enjoyed it. It's a good community.
Well, I suppose that it is just time to say that the Unwritten Earth Symposium podcast is by us. Go us. Oh, I just remembered something that I was going to do last episode and I forgot, which was to, especially since I was talking about it, but I wanted to shout out to our scholar that I met at the Tabletop Game Alliance Summit, which is now like a month ago. But shout out to you. It was cool to talk to you. We talked about library stuff as well. And we had that conversation, and that conversation was by us. Go us. So
good.
If you are a scholar and you find us out in the wild, we will appreciate talking to you as well.
Agreed.
Yes. Anyway, our music is by Will Yopes. Thank you, Will. Take a look over at, just look up Plasmodics on Kickstarter for the latest updates on the game that Will is going to be finishing up this year. It's cool and weird. So there we go. The hate has flown through us. We have discovered how to do things.
Yes.
And Epi, did I do it? Did I make a game?
Yeah, you did. We're done.
Yay! Well, you still have to do one, so.
Oh, I hate this part.